Hello, Trent and Dr. Waymeyer. This is my my seventh playing video for this semester. And I'm going to start off with some long tones. So, start off G, and we're going to go all the way to E natural. 5, 6. Sorry, hit the bottom key by accident. 1, 2, 1, 2. Next note, we're going to go to A. 1, 2, 1, 2. Next is going to be B natural. Next is going to be C. 1, 2. Next note is going to be D natural. Next one's going to be E natural. Then we're going to do F sharp because I figured it out. Then we're going to do the low F sharp. Breathe properly. 1, 2. So what happened on the last note is that I tightened up my mouth a little bit and the reed kind of got too tight and it couldn't vibrate properly. So that's where that little blip came in. Well, now I'm going to play 3 songs. And the first one I'm going to do is number 18, Down by the Station. And the goal here is basically just to make it as musical as possible. Follow all markings. The only change I'm going to make is that in the last measure we have a half note followed by a half rest. I'm going to make the last note a whole note, and I'm going to freeze, because that's what I would want my beginner singing. So also I'm going to raise my stand up a little bit, because not that much. That's where I want my beginners to have it. Under the chair, talk about posture, making sure the back is straight, feet are flat on the floor, and we're going to give it a go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do Country Walk. And this one, the only thing I'd really look at for my beginners is I'd look for toggle fingering. So for saxophones, going to 2 to 1 can be a little tricky. So I'd look out for that. I'd maybe have them play an exercise and just do scales a little bit before we do that. And C would be a new note, so that'd also be a teaching opportunity for my kids. So I'd go around and have them play C and everybody and put it in their warm-up somewhere. That way they're used to seeing that note. And I would point out how many C's they have and look at each measure that has a C in it and point it out to them as well. So the goal here is going to be to play it as musically as possible. Also follow the breath marks that I have, and also watch my intonation. Because when I play C and I go up any higher than that, I get a little flat. So 5, 6. Okay. If I had to talk about that one, I would say that I messed up on going from G to C, which would be 1, 2, 3 going just to 2. So that'd be kind of sort of a toggle fingering, so that'd be something to look out for, especially with beginners. because it's a lot of fingers to put down versus, well, 3 versus 1 is a lot of fingers for beginners. So I'd point that out too. So moving on, we're going to do Getting It Together because it introduces D, and D is a lot of fingers down, so it's octave key, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then but for C, it's just 2. So that's a lot of fingers for someone to put down, especially a kid that's just starting out. So D is one of those notes, D and above, it'd be one of those notes that you really just got to work out with your beginners and really just make sure that they understand that it is going to be a lot of fingers, but it's okay because, one, I'd put it in the exercise and I'd have them hold it out. I'd have them count the D's out, how many D's they have in the entire thing, and also practice a transition between D, C, D, C, and just practice that and make sure they understand that. So let's Get It Together, and once again the goal is going to be to make it as musical as possible, follow all markings, and really make sure that the fingerings that are put down are in the correct place and work on tuning. 5, 6, 5. So there, I feel like I could put a little bit more mouthpiece in my mouth and I might get a more resonant sound, which would also contribute to me having some tuning issues up there, so I'm going to try it a little bit. Yeah, so for the higher notes, I just need to put more mouthpiece. But I guess I got confused because I thought that on saxophone you don't really change anything like you would clarinet. But when I play G, I use less mouthpiece to play G. So I guess there is a slight transition there. I'm not sure if that's a real thing. I'm going to ask you that in class on Monday. But yeah, so that fixes my tuning issues. But I wasn't 100% sure if you were supposed to change anything like clarinet or not. So that was, I think, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're going to play Lightly Row. And this will be a duet, so it might be a teaching opportunity for a kid to do a solo and explain that to them, and also give a kid a chance to want to show off, or, you know, because kids like that type of thing. So give them opportunity to be like, okay, y'all play A, and then one kid play A, everybody play B. And then also I'd have to explain to them, you know, A and B and explain what a duet is, but not go into too much detail. Not only that, it just might be an opportunity just to introduce some things to them as far as playing together and harmony, which is another good way to do that too. So, alright, I'll be playing, let's go for line A. So, 5, 6. Also there, I didn't talk about it before I played it, but another thing to talk about is the fermata there too. So explaining that and holding that out and having them listen to intonation issues, and then I can pull out my instrument and play it purposely out of tune, and that can introduce, you know, in tuneness to them, you know, in a group setting. And so, because tuning is one of those things you just kind of do all the time. So you're never going to stop talking about it, but you kind of want to get to the point where it doesn't have to be so in-depth when you first introduce it, because it's something you talk about all the time that hopefully they'll start to understand. So, next one we're going to play is Good King Wenceslas, and that's a solo 2D type thing, and it's a traditional English carol, and most people have heard it before. So only thing you got to be careful of is that if someone's heard a different variation of it, they're going to think the rhythm is something than what's on the page. So you really want to make sure that they're reading the notes and reading the rhythms on the page, and that it lines up with what you have as well. The solo 2D section, another, you know, way to introduce, you know, solos and stuff like that, and give a chance to, you know, show off what they can do, and, you know, just make them feel special. Alright, I'm going to play Good King Wenceslas. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so I messed up on the D, but I think that the tuning that I have on the D when putting my mouthpiece in gives me a lot more resonant sound, and it fills up the room more, and plus it's a lot better in tune. It's not as flat. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure if you're in the upper registers supposed to just put my mouthpiece in your face, or I just need to put my mouthpiece in my face in general. So I'm gonna ask you that tomorrow. All right. Moving forward, we're gonna play Jolly Old Saint Nicholas, and once again, it's a duet. And this time, I'm gonna play line B. Okay, let's see. Also, with the fermata, what you can really do is that you can focus on releases and really making sure it's a rounded release versus an abrupt stop, because a lot of people don't really talk about it, and it's just a musical thing that you need to talk about with how to end notes, because there are 3 parts to note: the attack, the tone, and the ending of the note. And you really want to make sure the ending is as good as the rest of the note as well. And a lot of people don't talk about it, and I'm sure there's a way you could explain it to kids, in a not so complex way, but that's something that I want to talk about with my beginners as well, that they just have a good understanding of, what a good release sounds like. Because, especially with phrases, you really want to make sure that you finish the phrase properly and, you're musical with it. And I think that'll transfer later as they play harder things, making phrases. And that's just one way to teach it. Let's see. I'm going to play Sweetly Sings the Donkey, and this is just another note. It's F sharp. So for F sharp, it's 1, 2, 3, 2, which isn't too bad because it's just 1, 2, 3, 2, and we haven't, at this point, they haven't really learned any notes that kind of coincide with it being really difficult, and also there's not really those big jumps of trying to go to F sharp to D, weird intervals like that. Everything's pretty tonal, nothing really out of character here. So I'm going to play Sweetly Sings a Donkey, and it's also in a round, and you can also explain it to kids, chance to introduce a round, to make it a solo section if you want to, just have everybody join them and explain that to them. So I'm going to play Sweetly Sings a Donkey. I didn't like that first attack, I'm going to do it again. It was too harsh. Yeah. So the goal there was to make the first section softer than the second section. I guess, number 2. And really there, going into that not upper octave, but upper register of the saxophone, I put more mouthpiece in my face, and I found that it sounded a lot better. So that's a change that I'm going to make, I guess. Once again, I'm going to ask you that tomorrow. But beginning of the note was not very good in Sweetly Sings a Donkey, and I guess maybe I just didn't put my tongue, I didn't articulate it properly, and it caused me to kind of chip it. So, look at that. So, I think what I did was I tongued under the reed, right here, instead of on the tip. And so that causes a lot of response issues. Oh my god. Yeah, read is good. Make sure, just do a little read check real quick.